to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can take your favourite photographs, put them into a photo slideshow using DaVinci Resolve. We're going to add some text, add some transitions, and use this video to export out to maybe your website, to Facebook or Instagram. So if you'd like to know how to do this, then let's get going. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get DaVinci Resolve. Now if you haven't used this before, it's a free version that you can download. It's a very powerful package, but we're just going to scrape the surface of some of the functionality that it can do today. So if you've not downloaded it, we're going to head over to Google. We're going to type in DaVinci Resolve download, and we're going to hit search on that, and then you'll see it come up with the Blackmagic Design, which is the company that does it. Now if we click on that link, I'll put the link down in the description as well in case you can't find it, and then what we need to do is scroll all the way to the bottom of the website where it gives us the option to install DaVinci Resolve 16. You've got the free and you've got the studio version. Well, we're not going to download it because we said we're going to use the free version. So you've got DaVinci Resolve. We click download, choose your platform, which is going to be Windows, and then that's going to give you the option to fill your details in to register and download that software. Now once you've installed it and you've got it up and running, we're going to need to have a quick look at some of the photos that we want to put in. So what I've done is I've created a separate directory on the computer, as you can see here, and I've copied a few of the photos that I want to include in my photo slideshow into it. Now this just keeps it easy, so you've got those photos in a dedicated place ready to drag it into your project. Now as I say, what we're going to do is look at adding some text, some transitions and some overlay text, and also maybe look at putting some music to it just to give it that little bit more of a cinematic feel to the actual photo slideshow afterwards. So we're going to open DaVinci Resolve up. Once that's opened up, as you can see here, we're going to come up to File and select New Project, and in the project name we're going to call this one Photo Slide Show. Obviously you can call this whatever you want to, and we're going to hit Create. So that's now going to start up DaVinci Resolve with the new project settings. And once that's created it, as it says there on the top, we can see we're going to come down to the little cog on the right hand side, and we're just going to leave the time and resolution at HD. Now you have got the option to change this up to 4K, so you can take your footage, upgrade it to 4K, which should give you a better resolution when you compress it back down into Facebook, but for this demonstration we're just going to keep it at 24. So I'm going to choose 30 frames a second, and the timeline rate 30 frames a second. If you're doing transitions, the extra frame rate should give you a little bit more of a smoother effect on there. So we're going to hit save, and that's going to bring us back to our main working area with DaVinci. Now on the top left here we've got the option to select media pool, and at the moment we've got no clips in the media pool at all. So we're going to go back to the directory that we found or created a minute ago, and we're going to select all the photos. You can either drag your mouse across them all here, or you can do the Control and the A key together, and that will select them all. And we're purely just going to drag those in using the left mouse button into the media pool here, and then we'll just minimize the video window. So once they're all in here, these are basically in our workspace, and then over, close the inspector down. Over in here is basically the timeline. So this is the area where we're going to build up our little movie clip or our photo slideshow on there. So first of all, what I'm going to do is just select a photo, and I'm just going to drag it in. So let's choose any one on there, so that one will do, and we just pull it down onto the timeline, and it comes under the video 1 tag. And as you can see, if you use the pull the cursor across, you can see that that is coming up. This is defaulting to just seconds worth of image as a video on there. Now, if you need to adjust it, you can come down and just hover your mouse over the edge, and you can adjust it to be as long as you want to. That's simple as that, just to drag one of the photos onto your timeline. Now what I would like to do on this is just do a little bit of introduction text. So we're going to come back onto the left here and collect the effects library. Now this is where you can find lots of bits and pieces regarding titles, transitions, and we're going to talk through a few of those today in this tutorial. So the first thing we're going to find is under titles is text plus, and we're just going to drag that down onto the timeline to the beginning and then just move it so that it's right at the start. And if we move the playhead cursor over there, we can see that it's defaulted to the text title. Now you're going to say, how do I change this? So what we need to do is head up to the inspector, click that, and then this is going to give us all the options that we need to do to be able to modify that text. Now we've got the option to change colour, the font, etc. So what I'm going to do here is just change the title to Members Meeting 2019, and as you can see at the moment it's just got too big for it, so we can come down to the size and we can just drag that back to where we want it. And we've also got the option on here, as I say, to change the colour on here. So I'm just going to leave this white as it is at the moment. Now if you want to reposition this, you can come up to the layout tab, click that, and then it gives you the option under the centre here to be able to move that text around. So if you click it in the Y and just drag your mouse across, you can actually move that text up and down, and the same like so, and the X is obviously going to move it onto the left and right on there. So that's how you change that. Now for this first one, what I'd like to do is just to get this text so that it appears like it's writing onto it. Now each clip is made up of frames inside of this clip. So at the beginning here, we're going to come down back to the text options, and then we've got the write on effect here. Now each one of these keyframes we can access. So at the moment I'm right at the beginning, so I'm going to click the little keyframe access, and I'm going to pull the write on tab all the way to 0. So now you see the text has disappeared. And make sure you've got the little red tab highlighted there, and then we're just going to drag our cursor a little bit over to around about there. I'm going to click the new keyframe tab, and this time I'm going to drag that all the way back out. And that's as simple as it is. When we now move the playhead, you can see that's writing on the screen for us. Now if you want to change the text on this, very simple as well. We just click up to the top, and then you've got a whole bunch of text options in here to choose from. So I'm just going to choose the Lucinda, if I can find it, Lucinda Sands typewriter, and there you can see it's changed. Now we are going to have to just readjust the size of that again. So there we go. So that's the first bit of text on there, and that text you can apply anywhere through the image. Now if we wanted that text to go on top of our image, we just literally drag that text onto the top, and then if we move a playhead, you'll see that that is over the top of our image. So you can get quite creative on this. So we're just going to pop that back for today's. So now when you move this image around, as I say, you've got the option to move it backwards and forwards. A few of the tools on the top here, you've got the little arrow key, which is basically your generic moving it around. You've got the razor blade, which enables you basically to clip an image into two parts, and then you can drag it around. So that may be something that you want to do if you want to split a photograph up on there. So we're just going to leave that back as it was. The other options that I use quite a lot are the lock key and also the magnet. Now the magnet just makes editing a little bit easier in the sense that it allows you to drag your clips, and if you want to then bring it up to the side of a next clip, it will just snap in place. So it saves you having to finesse getting that clip right next to it. Now if you don't use that on there, sometimes you think you've got it all the way there, and then if you zoom in using the tab here, sometimes you'll find that it's just not quite butted up against it, so that's where that comes in handy. Now the link clip here basically will give you the option to select a clip that has got audio next to it. So if I come back to my video clips and just make sure we've got that in, so back to the media ports, and just to show you the example, somewhere here we have a video clip. So this was just taken up the camera, as you can see it just pans around on a car. Now if I want to move that with the sound, with the clip enabled, it's going to select both. Now if I disable the clip, you can see then I can move them individually. Now that sound will be out of sync with the actual clip itself. So depending on what you're doing, probably best just to keep that synced together. Now while we're on the video clip, I'll show you on here, as you can see as I move the playhead, we can scroll through. So I just want this video clip just to pan across from around about here and then just to finish about there. So you can see I've shrunk the video clip down like so, and then we can just drag that one, clicking the snap tool onto there. So now we've built up a members meeting title, we've got our video and the first photo on there. So looking at the first photo here, as you can see, because photos differ slightly in size to the computer screen, they tend to be 4:3 on average, where the computer screen will be 16:9. The photo is not going to fit directly in there. So how do we change that? Well, by selecting that photograph that we've got on here, or clip, we can come up to the transform, and then under the zoom we have the option just to adjust that so it fills the frame, and we can use the position to adjust it up and down also. Now left and right in this sense is not going to work because we've got it right at the maximum width of that anyway. So that's how you adjust that on there. Okay, other little effects we can do with the frames or clips that we've got on here. You'll see here we've got the two little white handles on the top. Now what we can do with these is drag them across, and what that's going to do is it's going to fade in that clip from whatever's in the background. So if we use the arrow key here, you'll see how it fades back in to being full. So that can give you a nice effect as well if you're transitioning backwards and forwards on there. So let's just drag one more clip in after that, just to show you some more little tips. So again, we've put our next clip onto here, and now on this one, if I bring the timeline over there, this particular clip I'd like just to start with the basic photograph, and then during the time that it's there I just want to zoom in on the motorbike. So with that clip selected, we're going to come up to the, or start at the beginning of the clip, and make sure you've got that particular clip with the red box around it so it's highlighted, and click the keyframe, and then we're just going to zoom in so that's at the maximum screen size, and I'm just going to keyframe the bottom one as well and just shift that down to remove the watermark. So now at beginning one we've got those settings hard coded in. Now if I don't change anything on there, that will just remain the same right the way through the clip. So this one, what I'm going to do is go to the end, I need to click the keyframe again because it means a change, and then on the zoom I'm going to just zoom in very slightly, and if you do it too much it looks not quite so good, but if you do it just very subtly it gives a nice effect. So if I now play this using the spacebar, you can see as it goes across the clip it's doing a zoom in, so that can give you a nice effect, as I say. So one more clip. Now what about transitions? So lots of transitions available for free in DaVinci Resolve. So if we close the media tab and we come down to the effects library, we've already looked at the titles where we use Text Plus. We have here generators, which will give us, the most useful one here is the solid color. So we can basically bring a clip in here, and then we can change the color of that clip to whichever colour we want to. Let's delete that, and then we come down to video transitions. So this is where it's going to be great for our photo slideshow, depending on what you want to, or effect you want to create. We've got all of these here to basically drag over the gap between the two clips. So for instance, let's try center wipe. If I drag that across, let's just zoom in a little bit, you can see it's put the white box over the top. Now this, if I play it, will give you that transition, and that's as simple as it is. So we just zoom in on that clip. Now if you need to change that, you can click it so that it's highlighted in the red, and then you can adjust the duration of it up there if you want to be more creative. You can also do start on edit, end on edit, or center on edit, which just gives you slightly different effects on how that's going to start or finish. But for what we're going to do today, we're just going to leave it on the center mode. If you don't want to, or you decide it's the wrong transition, just highlight it and right click on the mouse and just put cut. So let's try another one. This is probably the most popular, is cross dissolve, and we just drop that again over there, and as you can see, it just gives us a nice fade in, fade out between one photo and the other. Now, word of warning, if you're putting video clips together, these transitions will only work if they've got a bit of hidden footage at either end for them to operate the transition. So like with the video clip we looked at the start, we trimmed it back so that there was bits of the video hidden from view. Now you'd need that to be able to get a decent transition from there. So if I just drag one here for just demonstration purposes, you can see that works absolutely fine. Okay, so we want to try and put a little bit of text over the top of our motorbike now, just maybe to, for this example, we're going to put our camera settings over the top. Now just to show you how easy this is, the first thing to do is just reposition the playhead over the top of the clip that we want to add the text to, and then we're going to come up to the text plus, which is what we used last time if you remember, and if we drag that on there you're going to get the basic text. Now some of the other things you can do with DaVinci Resolve, I'm just going to remove that. Now be careful, if you've created your timeline and you've got the clip here which highlighted, I want to get rid of it, don't press delete, because if you press delete it's going to take everything out of that clip. So it will remove the motorbike and then just pull this photograph up. So if you need to remove one, right click and just hit the cut, and that will take that out without damaging anything that's underlying. So down on the left here, we'll just go with the media pool once again. Under the titles we've got something called fusion titles. Now what fusion titles are pre-generated, what I call fancy titles. Lots to choose from on here, and it is basically a case of dragging it on, seeing what it looks like, and then whether it's really what you want to use on there. So if we come down and we pick one, so a lower third drawer on line 2, we'll try that one for starters. Now these sometimes take a little bit longer to render out, but as you can see it's a lot nicer than the text that we were messing around with earlier. So they give you fade ins, fade outs, fancy titles basically, and then we can customize them in exactly the same way. We can come up and select it, and then we get the option here for the main text, which is where it says full name, and then the secondary text, which is it says professional title. So here I'm going to select main text, and this particular one I'm just going to select, I've written it down already here, is, let's highlight, this was the camera that I used to photograph this at the time, and then we click back in here, Control V, so that's in there. Now again, like we did earlier, you can adjust the size as you wish, and you can also change the colour as well, so I'll leave that up to you to play around with once you get started with it. Now the secondary text, I just want to put my camera settings on there, so we'll come back and we'll just select that just to save me typing it out, and we'll pop that into there. Now again, that's probably a little bit big for it, so we're just going to drag the mouse over here, like so. And now you can see with pretty much minimal effort we've got quite a nice title or overlay text on there. And that's as simple as that. So you can carry on and going through your clip and build it up. There's no time limit on how big this clip is. The only issues you'll have with it if you're trying to put it onto, say, YouTube or to Instagram, they do have time limits for their clips. I think Instagram's 1 minute, and I think it's around about 2 to 3 minutes on Facebook if you're using it on a business page for a banner. And if you're interested in working out how long your clip actually is, you can see it over here. At the moment we're up to 21 seconds with this clip, as you can see if you scroll through. So I won't go into too much more with that. If you want to change the colours or one of your photos, I mean technically speaking your photographs should be good if you've put them into here anyway, but if you want to change it slightly you can come down to the colour tab. Now this gets quite advanced in here, and with that clip selected you can click on the clips, you can see it highlighted here. Now this goes into nodes and various bits, so it does get quite complicated, but if you just want to make a very quick colour change you can do it with the curves bar here, and as you can see we can make changes to that image, and also you can change the contrast, change the tab 2 here to boost the colours, shadows, highlights. So all of that is basically there for you to play around with, and if you need to reset it, click the little backwards wheels here and that takes it back, and then we just come back across to the edit tab and then we're back to where we started. And if we'd made colour corrections you would see those reflected at that point. Show you here is if you wanted to add some music to your clip. There's plenty of places to go for this. What you do need to be careful of is a lot of music is copyrighted. You can find on the internet free from copyright music on there, so you can use that. It just means hunting around a little bit. Otherwise you've got some of the companies that you subscribe to. Now if you're just testing this out, a lot of them do a 1 month free subscription to it, so you can use their music for your production, and then at the end of the month, as long as you've posted your video up by then you'll be covered. Otherwise the subscription is about £10 a month, but if I show you very briefly, this is the one I tend to use, which is Epidemic Sound, and they're about £10 a month, and then you can just use it as and when you need it. If you're not going to be doing any films for a while, you can just disable it so you're not paying the price. And then under here you can choose various songs, so Small Emotions, and I've just used this one here, which is Fairy Prion. You can play it and it'll give you a little bit of a demonstration, and then you can just come over and download it, and then once it's in the folder we can drag it into our project, which will be in our media port. And as you can see I've done that already, and I've just dragged this clip down into here. Now to add the music we do it the same as the video clips, we're just going to drag it on to the actual timeline itself. What we don't want to do here, we've got a bit of video clip already with the sound. I don't want to drag this over the top of that so I lose it, so you do need to be a little bit careful. So as we drag it over, if we drag it below, you'll see we get a A2 audio clip 2 appear, and then from there we can then drag that back to the start, and now when we play the clip, the music is already there. Now this may be a little bit loud. The easiest way to do this is just again come up to the inspector, and then you can adjust the clip volume as you play it, just to make that the right volume. So we'll just a little bit louder, and it just adds that little bit more of a dynamic feel to your photo slideshow. Other things that are quite nice, just to make it a little bit better, is down here you can see where the peaks or the tempo changes in the songs. There, that's not going to help. We can mute the channel if we want to. There. So where it peaks, it was always a good idea then maybe just to drag it out. So the first one, we can then position the cursor over it and just drag that back So you can reposition these, and what it does, you can do the music where it changes to change the tempo of the shots occurring with the change in the music, which gives it again a nice cinematic feel on there. If you want to go into a bit more with changing around with the sounds, we've got Fairlight built into DaVinci Resolve, and you can see the clips we've got on here. Now again, we can do a lot with this. Over on the left here, we can choose the clip, for instance. We can mess around with all the dynamics, and this gets very complicated. The one thing it might be worth doing if you're outputting this, especially onto TV, is to hit the limiter, and we just set, in actual fact we'll do this on the last, so the final output one. It's clicked, hit the limiter, and we just set that to -6 on there, and that's pretty much what you really need to do, and that just stops, if it's on a telly and you're using music, it stops it blowing the speakers out basically, so it puts a limit on it. So that's that, and then we've also got for each track, let's close that down, the graphic equalizer, which if you're just adding music to it and not anything else, then you don't need to actually do it. If you start putting voice on and other things, then it's worth looking into changing that around to get rid of background noise and microphone noise, that sort of stuff. Okay, so that's pretty much as far as I want to take this today. It's just shown you probably enough to get going and have a play around with this. So once we've created our clip, and obviously my clip's not fully finished, I'll put my final clip that I've done at the end of the video so you can have a look. But we're now at a point where we would like to extract this out to our MP4 or AVI file. So we're going to come over to the deliver tag, and then here you can see we've got all our clips selected. Now here the clip, because the music carries on past here, the clip is going to extend right across. So once our photo is finished, the music's going to keep playing with a black screen. So you need to be careful of this. So to change it, we come back to edit. Let's make our track slightly smaller, and you can see here that the music track is much longer than the photos we've got. So that it doesn't render all that out, we need to bring that music back so it finishes at the end of those clips. So now when we come back to the deliver tag, you can see it all lines up, and the bit that's going to be recorded or output is indicated by the grey bar on here. Okay, so we're going to export that now. So we come up to the top here, and I just tend to use the custom. So we're going to enter in the location that we want the file to go to. So here's fine, and then we will call this photo slide 1 for instance, and then we come down to format. Now you can either choose AVI or MP4, the best ones really. So we'll click that, and we've still got 30 frame rate, and we've got it for HD as well. So that's it. So at the moment this is going to render out this complete video to that file location that we've specified at the top. Now if you find sometimes that the audio doesn't come out, which shouldn't do if you've just installed the software, but if you click the audio, sometimes the export audio is not checked. So if you find your sound not coming out with the end result. So back to video, we'll hit add to render queue. That then places it up as a job here, and then we hit start render, and as you can see that whizzes away and basically creates that video for us. Now obviously yours is going to be a little bit more professional looking than what I've done here, but it's just a quick way of showing you some of the techniques that you can use to build these up. Okay, so if we come out of here now and just head back to the folder and refresh, we should find that we have our photo slide 1 video, which is here. If we click that, and you can see it does a really nice job of rendering out, adding the video, adding the transitions, the text overlays, the zooming in that we looked at, transition between one shot and the next, and it gives it a really nice cinematic feel to what you want to do. So some really nice effects with DaVinci Resolve, and it's all for free. So that's it. We can make sure we save that project so you can come back and edit it as you need to. I'll pop up after this video the finished article that I've done for this, just to give you an idea. If it's not at the end, it will be at the beginning. So if you've got any comments, any questions, anything you're not sure of, pop them in the questions below and I'll come back and try and answer them for you. Otherwise, go away, have a play with this, try and create what it is, and maybe tag me in if you manage to create something on here so that I can have a look. So if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, give the video a like if you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next video. So that's all for now. Take care, and I'll see you all again very soon.